Hard Rock Live at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino with 4 world titles on the line. Sam Shewmaker challenges heavyweight champ Joey Beltran. Hector Lombard clashes with Joe Riggs to crown a cruiserweight champ. Luis Palomino defends his lightweight title against Tyler Goodjohn. And Yuli Diaz takes on Thiago Alves for the vacant middleweight title. It's BKFC 18, Saturday, June 26th, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on the BKTV app. Download it now at bkfc.com.
Hey, champ, how you doing this evening?
Good evening. How you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I got to say, first and foremost, man, I've been a fan of yours for a long time, man. Your fighting style is phenomenal, so it's just great to have the heavyweight champion taking over my radio station airwaves this evening.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome.
But I got to ask you, man, like, I'm going to jump right in this because I know you're busy. You're pushing this fight hard. So I'm going to dive right in this interview. And I have to ask you, man, like, what actually made you transition into mixed martial arts in the first place, man? Because you're a natural just at what you do.
Honestly, like, when I was a little kid, my first sport, anything, first sport, combat sport, whatever you want to call it, was boxing. I started boxing when I was 10 years old, and I did that for about 5 years until I got into high school. And then once I got into high school, then I started playing normal, like, traditional sports like football and wrestling, stuff like that. So I always had a love for boxing and striking, and then MMA just kind of happened. Like, it just, like, honestly, like, I was, I was getting in a lot of street fights, and I was like, man, I'm pretty good at this shit. I should try to do this for money.
Hey, it definitely beats a jail cell. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So I was about 24, and that's when I first, like, even learned how to throw a kick or any kind of grappling. But I mean, wrestling made jiu-jitsu a smoother transition for sure. My wrestling background did, but I mean, like, as far as kicking or anything like that was the first time I ever did anything like that when I was 24. And so then by the time when I turned 25, I had my first fight, and just got hooked. I got hooked.
Yeah, man, most definitely. You're definitely a natural at what you do, man.
Yeah.
But as you said, man, your actual professional debut was actually at Strikeforce Young Guns. I believe it was February 10th, 2007. I was wondering, how did that contract with Strikeforce actually come to be? And of course, what was it like working for that promotion? Because it's sad to see that amazing promotion, like, be gone now. I think it got defunct a couple years ago.
You know what? It was just total by chance. And you want to know something crazy? It was my first fight was at super heavyweight. So maybe
really?
That's by I just got lucky that my first fight got to be on a big promotion, because there probably wasn't that many super heavyweights floating around.
Oh, most definitely, probably not.
and yeah, man, my first fight I weighed 285, and I fought that one time for Strikeforce. Lost the decision, but that's what got me hooked. After that, I was like, man, I want to go back. I want to know it. I love that feeling, and just went on from there.
And I got to say as well, this is where I actually first discovered you, man, because I remember watching this on Spike TV back in the day, man. But on May 1st, 2009, you actually made your Bellator MMA debut, where you actually went against former UFC veteran, the late great, I should say, Sherman Pendergast, man. I was wondering, what was that experience like? And of course, how did you land that deal with Bellator, man? Because that was huge back in the day. Bellator was freaking huge.
Yeah, same thing. Like, well, for Bellator, which was crazy, is that my manager at the time, actually, he got lucky or got linked up with, like, the right people back in the day, and he was the matchmaker for Bellator. So I had the inside lane to make my to make a little noise for that promotion. So that's how I got, like, that was once again just being in the right place at the right time. In the fight, somebody back then like Sherman Pendergast. Like I remember watching him fight in the UFC, and he was part of the Militich camp. So definitely somebody that I respected in the game, and to get an opportunity to fight against him. And then back then to be on ESPN Deportes, which was pretty big, pretty big coverage for MMA back then. Back then, I mean, UFC was barely starting to make noise as far as on the Ultimate Fighter. You know what I mean? So for us to be like on the division of ESPN back then was huge. So it was pretty cool experience.
And I got to say, man, I really enjoyed your run at Bellator, man. You really made some massive moves there. Like you said, you were on television and whatnot, but I really loved you at Bellator, man. But obviously, transitioning into UFC, man, you had a phenomenal UFC run. I believe you had 2 separate runs as well. I believe you left UFC and then end up coming back as well, like later on.
Yeah. I was my first one. I think I had like 6 fights or so with UFC, and then I lost 2 in a row. I lost to LeVar Johnson, and then I lost to Stipe Miocic actually on his debut. And then I went and I fought 1 show at a regional promotion for a C3 fights out in Oklahoma, and I made my 205 debut for them, won that fight, and then immediately bounced back into UFC. So it was pretty cool run for sure. But I mean, it was weird. Like honestly, like when I got into Bellator, it was it was cool because I was getting these big fights, but it was almost like I painted myself into a corner by having such a long career in the UFC, because then I was in Bellator, like I was the opponent. I was a tough opponent for them. That's all they really ever saw me as. I was always like B side for those guys. So I was like for Rampage debut, and then then I fought like Matt Yushenko for his retirement fight. I actually beat him for that one though. And then they brought me.
You sent him packing, all right. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
you
then they brought me in for a last second title shot. That they had to like contractually were obligated to give Manuel Newton a fight, so they like brought me in because they knew I would put on a good fight, So it was whatever. I never really was like like they were like behind me. It was like, well, Joey's tough and people know who he is, so we'll throw him in there. But whatever. At the end of the day, it's all good. It was a great experience. I really think that it was all, part of a bigger plan, to get me to where I am right now. Now I am the champ. Now I am the man. And I had all those experiences, and I had, this is not my first main event. this is not my first big time to the big show, and I definitely feel like experience, it holds a lot of weight, especially for now. I mean, because this is the biggest show for BKFC today, with the 4 title fights. And, we have to sit around in the back room all night long. And we probably not going to fight till like 12:30 or 1 in the morning. And I know, what that can be like as far as the nerves and the fucking everything going up and down and up and down. And if you're not experienced for that, that could mess with you a little bit.
When you said you're sitting in the locker room as well, sorry to interrupt you there, Joey. When you're saying you're in the locker room and whatnot, man, are you sitting there with your opponents as well? Does shit ever get heated when y'all are just sitting there?
No. We definitely have us separated for sure, but as far as like everybody's mental process is different, and everybody the way they process the nerves and deal with all that shit, because it's definitely something you got to deal with. I mean,
Oh yeah.
there's no way around it. We're human beings. And so, so like I said before, it's not my first rodeo for sure. It's not my first time waiting around all night long before I get to go out and fight. And
well, I gotta ask though, man. Like, was it a hard transition? Because obviously, like with MMA and like bare knuckle boxing, it's a little different. Like, was there a hard transition going from like UFC and Bellator to like BKFC?
as far as the actual fight itself, like, no, people always ask, "Oh, do you ever get tempted to kick or tackle somebody?" Like, no. I mean, I definitely don't have those problems. The only thing I ever recognize, and I'll see somebody like we'll be in there fighting bare knuckle. I'm like, oh man, I could elbow the shit out of you right now, But I don't, obviously, but. You see opportunities right in front of your face, but you can't take them. But as far as like operationally and stuff like that, like as far as like the way the show is done, like you can definitely tell, like for me personally, like having been to the top, like and see like how the corporate monster that is the Ultimate Fighting Championship is run, like you definitely, it's like levels. It's like it's even a level step down as far as like organization and streamlined how everything's run between like UFC to Bellator, boom, and then like from Bellator to like BKFC, boom. It's like and that's just a testament to like like BKFC is literally such a small company. They've only been around for less than 3 years, a little more than 3 years now. So a little more than 3 years, and so it's like you understand. You take everything with as far as kind of like how I remember. It's kind of cool because I remember like the first couple times, like you just kind of showed up. You didn't know what the hell was gonna happen. You didn't know what was going on. And then like I remember like the third time showing up and like, oh, now we're getting itineraries emailed to us. I was like, oh, that's nice, that's cool, And now it's like every time that I go back, it's more and more streamlined and more professional. They definitely have the right people in place and the people in the backstage that are, behind the scenes, if you will, that are running the show. So, they got their act together.
And also, as well, I actually have a fan submitted question on Instagram. An individual by the name of Lil_Matt_2018 actually wants to know who was one of your toughest opponents that you ever actually squared off with, actually in the squared circle.
Oh, for BKFC?
Yeah.
Oh man, I always gotta give props to Tony Lopez from that first fight. The second fight was kind of lame. Whatever. He tried to change his strategy. Can't fault him for that. But the first fight was nuts. Yeah, it was nuts. I always remember that one for sure. So definitely give Tony his props.
And also, as well, at BKFC, you actually won a unanimous decision over Chase Sherman, where obviously, you became the BKFC heavyweight champion, as well as the National Police Gazette American heavyweight champion. I have to ask you, what was that experience like being up there and winning both of those coveted titles? And of course, like you said, in such a newer promotion.
Yeah, well, we actually won. That was the first time that they put up for grabs the Police Gazette World Diamond Championship. So I think technically, Chase Sherman is still the United States champion because when him and I fought, that was the first time ever since 1889 that they had the title present ringside to be presented to the winner. So that's pretty cool. But I mean, ultimately, like, I always say, like, me winning the title, me winning the the BKFC title, as well as the Police Gazette title, was just like a moment to finally, like, after 14 years, to sit back and just breathe,
like you did it. You know what I mean? You made it.
Fuck, finally, man! Like all these years, ups and downs, and to give the title to my family, to my mother, to my friends that have been there with me since day one. Have gone through all the ups and downs, all the wins and losses, just to go ahead and to actually go and take the title home and give it to my mom for her to keep in her room. That's where the belt is in my mom's house. So, she's got the belt. So that's pretty cool, man. It was definitely an awesome experience.
Yeah. And also as well, man, going back to when you actually said like that the Police Gazette heavyweight title actually hasn't been in a ring and since like 1800s, man. I gotta ask, how does it feel being the first individual in our lifetime to have that around your waist in a ring, man? Because I gotta say, that is actually some pretty like monumental, like history making type stuff right there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it wasn't until it wasn't until that when I recently went over to Belfast, New York, to the Hall of Fame, to we had the formal Hall of Fame induction. That it really like set in like everything, like the weight of everything settled into me. I was like, oh man, this is this is a big deal. Like, it's crazy. Like, and then like to step foot into the actual gyms where John L Sullivan trained, and in the ring where he sparred and trained in, like, I was like, man, it was crazy. Like, very like eerie feeling, like, for lack of better terms, like it was like real heavy. Felt like really like heavy, like when you step through the door. And just seeing how much it meant to the people of that town, and Scott Burt, the president of the Police Gazette, and everybody around that was involved in the production of the Hall of Fame induction. It was that's when it really like settled in, like how important, how historical that really is. So pretty very,
And it's
very.
And it's understandable as well, man, that, like, of course, it wouldn't really settle in the ring because he just got done duking it out. You know what I mean? So your adrenaline is kind of somewhere else at that current time, man. So it's completely understandable that all that anticipation set in at another time and destination.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, the belt is big and heavy as hell. Like, the Police Gazette title is probably like 40, 50 pounds. No joke. Like, for one of those old school belts, like, you gotta be a big dude to just carry that shit around, for sure.
But also as well, man, this Saturday night, you are actually going to be defending your BKFC heavyweight title against Sam Shewmaker. I have to ask you, what can our viewers actually expect from this phenomenal fight? Because I know it's going to be a hard-fought battle, but my bets are already on you, Joey. And I'm not saying that because you're on my radio station. You know what I mean? I'm just saying my bets are definitely on you for this amazing fight.
I'm gonna say that I'm gonna, I'm gonna look at it like this. Like, we're gonna line up side by side at the start line, and they're gonna blow the little whistle, shoot the gun off, and I'm gonna sprint, and I'm gonna take off sprinting, and it's gonna be up to him to keep up. And I really don't think that Sam's gonna be able to keep up. And I think he'll be tough, and he's gonna put up a good fight, and it's gonna be real competitive and real crazy and violent, and lots of blood flying for the first 3 rounds. But eventually I'm gonna pull away, and I'm gonna take him out. I just don't think that he understands like the level of violence that I'm gonna bring to him, and what I'm gonna put him through. And that's something I can say with ultimate confidence, that I know that he hasn't been through the wars that I've been through, and I don't think he's gonna want to go through that. I really don't. I think, like I said, I've said it before. Like, everybody says that they want this problem until they get it, and that's holds very true, man. Everyone thinks that they have a general idea of what it's like to fight me, and oh, I can beat that guy. He doesn't look that good, or he doesn't look that strong, or he doesn't hit that hard, until we're in there.
And then they're the one getting picked up off the mat.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited to put on a show for the fans, and everybody in attendance, everybody at home watching on the app. It's definitely, I've taken it as a responsibility, that the fact that we're the main event, because any one of those 4 fights could have been the main event, especially with the fight being here in South Florida. It very well could have been Yuli and Thiago Alves, are both such prominent figures in the scene over here. Or you have, hometown boys like Hector Lombard or Luis Palomino, so the fact that the promotion, deemed us the main event, that's a big deal. I'm taking that very seriously. And you know, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna take his ass out.
Hey, man, and I'm looking forward to watching it. For once, I'm actually going to say this. I'm happy to be on the couch and not in Sam's shoes come Saturday night, man. I'm happy I'm on the couch.
Heck yeah.
But also, man, if Sam happens to be watching this live or even recorded, man, what do you want to say to your opponent come Saturday night? And mind you, we're an uncensored radio station, man, so you have the floor, champ.
You know, you know, first and foremost, I definitely respect everything that you've done in your career. I respect who you are as a man, as a father, as a husband, you know, but at the end of the day, come Saturday night, all that respect gets fucking thrown out the window, and I'm coming for your head, boy. So hope you're ready for that.
Hey, man, I got to say, man, first and foremost, man, other than this title fight, what is next for yourself, Joey Beltran, man? Like, of course, obviously, you know, you're going to keep defending the title and keep doing what you're doing fighting-wise, but what's next that you want to accomplish within your fighting career?
Oh, I have a personal goal of mine set out for 5 title defenses and then walking away off into the sunset with all my belts wrapped around me. You know, that's the goal. So this is number 2 of those 5. And I hope to get those 5 done by the end of 2022. So that's what I'm shooting for.
Most definitely, man. And also, Joey, before we let you go, man, for the individuals that don't have you on Instagram or social media, man, how can they actually find you and follow you? And of course, stay updated on everything that you're doing within your phenomenal mixed martial arts career.
Heck yeah. You can follow me on Instagram at Joey Beltran _MMA, and then on Facebook it's just under Joey Beltran, and under Twitter, but I hardly ever get on there, but every now and then I'll toss out a tweet at Mexicutioner760.
But I got to say, Joey, first and foremost, man, thank you so much for just taking a little bit of your time this evening and just coming on my radio station, man, and giving us a bit of your time. I wish you nothing but luck. I know you don't need it come Saturday night, but punch his head in, man. Retain that title, man, and I wish you nothing but the best, man. I most definitely will be watching from down here in the heart of the tundra of Canada.